got a great guest on today. Sandy Brondello, all the way from New York, New York. I think it's actually in New Jersey, but and WNBA Coach of the Year. I'm sorry, champion, WNBA champion with the New York Liberty, bronze medal winner at the Paris Olympics. We'll go through all of her stuff, but first, our sponsors. Shout out to Brian Curl Basketball weekend programs, Aboriginal Torres Strait Island programs, the Academy, the Owls. Great things for basketball and a great sponsor for violations and insults. Also to Chris Weir at FIT Education. It's the place to go. Great RTO. Chris, thank you very much. And Big Dog Sports.
Stolly.
Stolly, Ryan Stallberg, man. You guys look at huge shortage of basketball courts around Brisbane. It's one thing to be great if Basketball Queensland really pin their ears back and let's get our facilities up to scratch. But anyway, and last but not least, Matt Shanahan and Bubble Boards. We want to give him a shout out because it's a great coaching tool. I know that I'm going to speak to Curly about getting some for the Owls, but thank you very much, Matt Shanahan. Now, you got some shout out. We got a little bit of news to shout out before Sandy comes on.
Um, well, I,
Kendrick Davis to the
I think
Kings.
that's the bit. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff moving around in Windler's sign for I think is a great signing for Perth. They've kept Doolittle and Windler, two great imports. They've now, Perth have put together, um, 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 uh, what's his name again? I'm having a blank earlier.
John, really?
Yeah, Johnny. And they're talking about JKL, that big tall guy, Australian, played for Melbourne, playing overseas. He's looking like I can not say his name. We will JKL or something, but he looks like he's going to Perth as well. So Perth are really doing some work because they've picked up Dench and they've picked up Lat May, and so Perth have active. Sydney have active. They've put on Delhi and they've put on Kendrick Davis. Has to be on paper, straight away, I'm saying that's going to be the toughest guard in the competition. That's you got to want to be very good to compete with that because not only they are offensively going to be tough, you know. Kendrick plays a bit of D and Delhi plays a shitload of D. So that's going to be interesting for Sydney. But Bullets seem to be a bit quiet in terms of signings.
I know nothing new, mate. I don't know what's going on there. One thing I do want to give a shout out to is I have a struggle with this lady's name, Tiana Mank. Can't pronounce it. Mank Haya. Now Tiana has battled
Oh,
breast.
Tiana. Oh, yeah.
How do you pronounce her last name?
I just call it T.
Well, man, I tell you what, it's great to see her. She signed with Southern Districts in this NBL one. That woman, who had already battled,
Breast
um,
cancer twice.
yeah, but she had come back the first time. She was playing for the North Side with us. So this is the closest thing I've seen to Michelle Timms in a
Oh,
long
she's a
time.
stud. She's a
She's
stud.
a stud, and it's great that she's back. Actually, so we're going to have another guest coming up here soon in Dwight Hicks and his Hot Licks, who's going to do a little NBL One North women's preview. Uh,
Okay, cool.
but I'm just was so happy when I saw this because there is obviously a stud, a woman that handles adversity. But what a talent! And I'm just hoping that she's back up and enjoying basketball again. It'd be
Yeah,
great.
that's awesome. I mean, as we've been doing this and we've added some ladies into the podcast, which has been awesome. I'm just in awe of, and when we get into Sandy here, it's mind blowing, mind friggin' blowing, the talent of our women basketballs.
Uh, it goes, you're spot on, Steve. I mean, when we look at comparatively our men to our women, we have more women playing WNBA and professionally in Europe. we've accomplished greater results. And it's really, you look, and I give a lot of credit. You go back over the years, and we had Robbie Cadee was a national coach, and it really, I don't think Ray Tomlinson, national coach, Brennan Flynn, but it was when Tom Marr got in there that the whole culture, the style of play, their toughness, they're incredibly tough. Sandy Brondello was incredibly tough. She was a tough player, baby. And
Yeah.
anyway, we don't want to be we'll have more previews coming up, but let's get straight into our interview with Sandy Brondello.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, Sandy, here we come. That's why our show is called Violations and Insults.
Yeah. I've got nothing bad to say about you guys. Come on.
And obviously we
Well,
don't, but can we just put some in this introduction? I was going to you're a GOAT.
No, no, yeah.
Your playing career is exceptional. And did you win 10 straight German championships?
Yeah, I did. I did. Yeah.
Good God,
That's
you're
right.
Johnny Wooden. It's and then we see, the you got one silver medal as a player, is that correct?
Two.
And
Uh,
as a
as
coach?
at the Olympics, yeah, at the Olympics was Sydney and then Athens. Hey Alexa, stop. Sorry, it's time for 5 p.m.
that's all right. That's all right. Sorry, it doesn't matter. Whatever happened around, it's all good. So Sandy, you've been to 6 Olympics.
Six, yeah, four as a player and two as a coach now.
Like, do you just feel you own that place? Do you walk around when you get like, what is the Olympics like? Like, I can only even imagine, let alone go 6 times.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. I mean, that's what everyone, everyone wants to go to an Olympic Games. Everyone wants to put the green and gold on and play for the Opals, and that's the pinnacle, isn't it? If you get to go to one, that's pretty special. So, I've been blessed and grateful to had the opportunity to go to six. So, one more in a few more years, and I think that would be it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you've definitely got another one coming up in the next 2 years. We'll get onto that a bit later. We had a good chat to Timsy on this wonderful, Australia's #1 basketball podcast. You know that we're self-voted, by the way, by me and my mum. But Timsy talked a lot about the Opal mentality, and there's been a bit of talk of that in the last few years around, Paddy and Joe sort of getting that mojo going with the Boomers. But you guys have been doing that for a billion years. Where do you think that started? Is it that core group of you and Timsy and Robin Marr, all that sort of era was phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it really started with Tom, really. I mean, Tom, he came in and when he took over, it was like, okay, what kind of team do we want to be? And that's how culture's set. It's set by the players, and then that's the accountability. You can keep that's the values of the program. What kind of legacy do we want to leave? So, Timothy would have talked about Padwolf. I mean, every letter stood for something.
Yes.
It accountability and handling adversity as a flexible team, a we team. And it's the same thing. And I'm really big on that. I thought the culture piece is really strong. How do you create that connectiveness and togetherness to perform at the highest level? So every team, obviously as a coach, I've always implemented the same thing because the culture is the number one. You get that right, and then you can build on that. It's not just coming in having X's and O's. You got to get your culture right, you get your values right, and that's what everyone lives and breathes, and for 365 days of the year, and it just creates that connectiveness. And we talk about the sisterhood of the Opals program, and that's the legacy that. From our days, it's come before us, and we can just building that legacy out. And
So you keep it similar, like in the current Opals today?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we're just in the process of obviously in the camp that I just had, we have the culture meeting, and I let the players run it now. I facilitated in the beginning, but now it's player driven, and all staff is a part of it. We're in the process of we have some questions, and we put all words on the board, and now we're nominating what are our new values because it was a new cycle. I thought it was important for us to update the values and see if they're any different.
Yep.
Um, in the last 4 years that we had, the overlying, value is always sisterhood because that's part of the Opals.
And you guys are
It's
tight. Yeah.
we're just tight and
You
yeah, the
pay for each
camaraderie.
other, right? When you do the extra.
Yeah, we do the extra, and then obviously in the last cycle we had United, Professional, and Feared. So we're voting on it now. So let's see if anything changes or not, because it's important when you start a new cycle. I've got a lot of new players coming in, so everyone has a voice. It's not driven by just a few players, it's driven by all players and even the greater squad. So that's important for me. And if it feels like a special moment to be part of the Opals because of that culture. And then obviously, go out there and hopefully perform to our best.
I mean, I suppose I don't have to tell you how to, but the way you're talking is the dream of every company as well outside of sport. I'm talking about in the workplace, in the commercial world. That's the dream to sort of have the people no matter how big the company is, at the front line feel like that they've got a voice right up to the CEO, and it's not easy to do. But you've had that foundation, I guess, from the Tom Ma years, and makes sense to me that you're tweaking because the kids today are different to us. So tell us about the camp that you just had. I watched as like on the news and read articles. It seemed like it was a really like a refresh with bodies that hadn't seen each other before in camp. Is that correct?
Yeah, look, I think it was an opportunity for me to get my hands on them because during the WNBA season, I'm unless it's the World Cup and the Olympics, I'm not leading the program yet. So it's more just getting set, renewing it and putting it together, evolving because I want to play a little bit differently. The game evolves. That's what I love about this game. I'm very curious about how can we change? How can we be better? We haven't never won a gold medal at the Olympic Games, and it's really hard to win any medal. But I think we've got some really good young talent coming through that deserves a shot here. That the core group's still going to be there. Izzy McBeggor's still 25 years of age, and she's gone to two Olympics already. But Lana Smith, really think just put in a new system. So it was really fun. I love being back with the program. It gives me a lot of energy. But there are some new faces because they deserve it. They've performed so well, and it was all with the Australian-based players because. We have some European players. Steph Reed was away, Chloe Bibby and Ezzy, and Lana wasn't there. I just gave her a bit of a rest. But there were some players missing. But it was great. I thought they picked up the new style that we want to play, like a running game and a five out. So, but now it's about
Well, it's
just
definitely one of my questions, and Bruce, you interrupt. Bruce normally
Well,
interrupts.
I do have a question. What we were talking about with the principles and the culture of the Opals, how do you transfer all of that with the Liberty?
very similar. Like my glossary. If you saw my glossary, that's glossary is what words I lose, the terminology. Every coach has different terminology, so I keep it consistent because I can't go between both and change up what we call a pick and roll in two programs. So I keep it very consistent. And really, it was great for me because being at the Opals, as I prepare for a new training camp on starting Sunday, we want to do similar things because it's about, like I said, basketball evolves. It's a different game now. The skill set of the players are different. And I think we've got a lot of athletes, got really talented players. We've got shooters, we've got drivers, facilitators. We have everything. And so do we have with New York. So it's actually quite similar. Now, different players, but similar styles. Now, as I put styles in, I develop a style what suits the players. It's not like this is what we're going to do. I'm not a
Yeah.
dictator coach. I'm really like, okay, what's best for the players? And then being adaptable and flexible. I think that's important. So I'm excited with both programs. I think we've got some really talented Obviously we're the champions in New York. Now it's about how do we defend that? We know that's very hard, but with the Opals, it's a new cycle and like, okay, what do we need to do with the vision of winning gold in LA? How do we need to change things up so that we can, um, you know, have a real crack at it?
Yeah.
So you guys, your season starts on the 17th of May. Are you in camp now?
Yeah, I'm back in New York. I flew straight from the Opals camp straight back to New York and starting preparation. So we don't officially start until Sunday, but most of our players are in. Tomorrow I have all individual meetings. I meet with every single player and we give them their the individual development plans and some players are new. But they've just been doing some small group workouts on court, but officially start on training camp. We have 9 whole days. We have 9 trainings before our very first game. People don't realize that we have a very limited preparation. So it's good when you have some continuity that you can hit the ground running. When it's a totally new team, it takes, it takes a little bit of time, but we'll still need an adjustment period. We've got some key players coming in, adding to us. But yeah, May 17th is when we'll get our rings for being
Oh,
champions. And
wow.
yeah, it'll be
That's
very
That's your,
exciting.
that's,
fantastic.
that's your second.
It will be my second. It took me 10 years in between, but better late than never. I've had opportunities close some other years, but that's how, sometimes you just got to have the right amount of talent
I
and
mean,
stay healthy. Bit
your
of luck.
your journey is incredible, Sandy. Look, while we're talking about styles and stuff, I'm been dying to ask you this question in terms of the X's and O's, and we're all coaches, right? And it's interesting to hear you say how things have changed. How do you put it down to our era when we played 3 out, 2 in, and bigs inside, and the littles weren't allowed to go inside? You'd get smacked around. But to today, what do you see as the biggest difference from that era to now?
Everyone's a basketball player. It's positionless. We're working on a 5 out concept. There's no rim running unless there's a real mismatch. It's a 5 out. So everyone has to have guard-like skills, but have an opportunity to, understand the game. How do we create space? How do we create advantages? That's what we're trying to achieve in basketball now. Where's the biggest gap? Put our best players, obviously, in the best spots to be successful, but everyone can shoot, everyone can dribble. Our post players get screens, but they give screens as well, and vice versa. So there's a versatility with how we're playing, and I think it really suits our style, and I really do think that's the modern game now. And teams obviously going to have to adapt to their players, but I think the skill set, there's so much versatility now.
I mean, a big can shoot threes. In our day, a big could barely shoot outside of the paint. You know,
Yeah, unless you're Jenny Whittle in our days, but otherwise, it just like I said, it's just there's so much more innovation on the game around. It's more about the how you prepare your body and what the activities. We used to do military, lifting, and now it's all it's functional training and that. But how the skill set of everyone can shoot and that they're just
so
it's
then
just the
it's more knowledge of the game, reading what's in front of me. Like if I go this way off a back screen or off a pick and roll, other people need to move on the court to keep space. That's the hard part, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's the hard part, but that's the fun part too for me because it's all like we have principles to play, and like our values like for New York now, which we have adjusted from last year. Like I always put principle of plays. This is how we want to play, why we want to do it, and then defensively non-negotiables because that's the grunty toughness stuff. But on offense. You just really, I always, when I look back, we won last year, but it's like, how do we get better? And I think sometimes it's just getting better on your screening, your cutting, your spacing. But the overall thick factor is decision making. How do you exploit when there's a switch and a hard hedge? And so we work a lot on that. So there's a freedom. I give them, I'm not a structured coach. There's a lot of freedom with what we do. There's some principles of play, and then it's just making the best decision. So we kind of help them with that. So really we want pace, space, and then shot profile. Now the modern game now, like I probably wouldn't have survived the modern game because I love the pull-up game, the long twos and the mid twos with the pull-up. Now we're talking about and it's data driven. All the analytics in the game now the high percentage shot is at the rim, the RA, is free throws, getting fouled, and 3-point shooters, three
Yes.
points. So, we deter, we don't want more than 25% of long twos because it's not unless you're Sabrina Ionescu and depending on that, it's not a high percentage shot.
And
And Brianna Stewart's like, is she not top three players in the league?
Yes, yes,
Not
she is.
the
Now,
best player. And she
yeah,
stays healthy, right?
yeah, she's coming back from surgery now. Stewie is the most, yeah, I mean, a champion, humble, hardworking, how she prepares herself. Sabrina Ionescu too. It's just, amazing, and just how it's like they wake up, they're doing yoga in the morning, it's just their whole
Bro,
preparation. It's like, it's attention to detail and to maximize their effort. But we talk about that mid-range. There's some players that have a longer leash with that. Sabrina shoots great, but we think she's great 3-point shooting, gets to the rack really well. It's like Stewie too, like, getting to the rim and then shooting threes. Now they can those ones, the top players can shoot a little more, but we're saying overall shot profiles are really important for us because you're getting high percentage shot every single possession.
and
right.
yeah, and obviously some players shoot better. Like the corner three has become a very popular shot. Yeah, like because I haven't personally got a tape measure out, but it's supposedly closer to the rim, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you see like some NBA teams, and they change from year to year too, but they want to limit 3-point shots in the corners because it's closer. Then the NBA line is a little further out when you're above the break. For us, we want to make sure we're protecting the paint on the other side, and we still we'll give up that mid range over a rim or a three. So
Right.
it's counterproductive. What you want to get is what you want to take away because it's a lot of it's driven now by data. So I have two full-time analysts that they just evaluate the data, So it's so
For
fascinating.
you guys and also the opposition, obviously, and then what's happening as a whole in the league. Yeah, I saw a shot chart of like the NBA today versus like Jordan's era, and the top 2,000 shots, and they were all at the rim and 3-point. There was nothing in between. Whereas in Jordan's era, there was a lot of stuff in between.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like, and that's why I talk about the evolution of the game. And yeah, no, it's interesting, and that's why I find very curious. I'm always like, I'm still a student of the game. Doesn't matter how old or young you are. I'm fascinated how we can continue to grow and learn and help, play an attractive style and winning basketball. That's what you're trying to do, win.
Sandy, can I pick your brain? Defensive
Um,
transition.
mhm.
So the shot goes up, and you guys are great at using the clock. And again, Inescu and Stewart are special, in my eyes. And then, but do you have any specific rules when the shot goes up? Do we get the spots or it's closest man?
In terms of trans D.
Yeah,
Well, what we're trying last year, we call it a term called crackback. It's high tagging. I think Aaron Fern, I think we're all stealing it from him. He did it with Cairns Taipans back years ago.
yeah,
And it's I think you see it more and more now in the NBA and the WNBA. It's so we're implementing last year we brought it in and it's a habit though, because the worst thing to do, what's the habit? The shot goes up, the corners just watch it but when that's going up, you have to make a play. For us now, we're going to high tag. And so you have an opportunity to get an offensive rebound, but you high tag it. You don't want to beat the person and get inside of them because then you're outnumbered in trans D. So if we can get better, and it's an area we need to get better at, that's why we want to, be make an adjustment, is high tag in all 5 players. So they have to move forward and find somebody or be close to someone. And whoever that's your matchup because we're so versatile. Now maybe if we're cross matched a little bit, that's fine because we'll in the half court we'll be able to get back because
Switch back.
now yeah because we switch because we the NBA and the WNBA we all do a lot of switching. I have size, love long and lean, the ability to be able to switch. Okay, but there's times when we got smaller players, but we can out of our movement. Yeah, they just know when to X out and how to prevent it. But we're hoping that's an area we do need to get better at is trans D. But we're going to send 5 and high tag them and see how we go. So it's a
well,
habit though. See how
And
we
yeah.
go.
it's
Should that
conditioning. But
increase
let
your
me,
O boards though? Should that like if you're going five at the basket,
what do you do? You shoot, Sandy. I go and contest, and I run out.
You got to go with them. If someone leaks, you got to go. So
You got
there's
to.
rules behind it. If you shoot and they run out, well, that's you. There's no high tagging anymore. You're just getting back. That's your man. But that's already your match. You're already matched. That's the easy one. It's
Yep.
just making sure, and it allows us because we think we have enough depth and enough aggressive defense that we could get a little bit more up down the court and put pressure on him in the back court. And Leonie Phoebe was excellent at that last year. But now we have Natasha Cloud. I mean, she's a real dog back there, just an aggressive defender. And we got Beck Gardner coming back from an Achilles. She didn't play. She was on our roster last year, but recovering from an injury. So we think we got the players that we can actually be. How do we be disruptive on defense? And that's the whole goal, isn't it? How do you take them
Yeah,
out of rhythm?
I love listening to this because I just get so bored at coaches that like there's a bit of it in the NBL. Um, they just play straight up man to man all game. They don't do anything different. They just try to outscore the other team just about. Like the game's a game of chess, isn't it? There's so many little things that you can do to influence each possession. Correct?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Look, and we've spoken that in the off season because I say like we were great at man-to-man defense last year for the most part. We got better as it went along because of our long and our length. We had the ability to switch and we could rebound, and that we were a great rebounding team. It allowed us to get out in transition. We could push pace more, and I think we've got some more players that will enable us to do that. But we've spoken about defensively. It's like, we have a zone. We didn't go to it as much last year than with the year before, but we want to utilize it more. We want to throw some junk in there because it's just,
Yeah,
I know teams do it to us. What do teams do? Like someone's, oh, it's a box of one. They stop playing. They start thinking. Okay. And it's all you're trying to do when you're on that is a pattern interrupt. Just change the flow,
correct.
to your.
And that's you as a coach. But I think it's lazy when coaches aren't. You don't have to be throwing junk every possession, but like you've got to use your scout. You've got to go, okay, we can double team someone once as they one dribble over the halfway. We just got to do it once, and that possession they have to think, you can win or lose, obviously, but I just find coaching more interesting when you're doing, yeah, and I think the players do as well.
Every team we play, they're all different. And that's why I love the challenge. It's like, what's the game plan? Now you have your core values on defense. We have our non-negotiables, but it's still, we want to be disruptive. What's that look like against this team? Who do we want to trap? Where we blow? We always want physicality, toughness. And then we want to shrink. I'm a shrink kind of coach, let's close. We talk about offensively create advantages. Well, defensively, let's take away advantages. How? And, I mean, I think the skill level offensively just explodes. So you got to throw something out there. The players are too good now just to guard them one on one, and you got to know where your help's coming from. And we've got, like I said, I like our team, but we're still things we want to work on and need to get better at. I think every year you reflect and think, okay, we could be more consistent there. And Trans D was one of them. But I think we were the number one analytically in the playoffs. We were the best, defensive team, but we still made mistakes. So it's more, we talk about, okay, still playing hard. That's part of being a great defensive team too, being disruptive. They're the intangible things that go with being
How
great.
how do they measure that Trans D? Like you said, you were the best team. How do they measure that?
We were in analytically about where all your shots were coming from, like your percentages, that. And,
Oh,
and so that's how we know we weren't the best at Trans D. Okay, we got to be better. So,
okay.
we were good, but we weren't as great as we would like to have been. We gave up too many easy ones. Okay, so let's change it up a little bit this year. Like we don't, after you win in a championship, the thing is, I was very mindful of like, don't just run it back like with the same team. We did that from 23 and we won in 24, but it's good when you have a little bit of freshness because what's really hard in this league is back to back, but like repeating after you win. But I find that a great challenge. because now we've brought some different players in. You got that freshness and we got a newness, a little tweak and things how we want to play. We don't want to play exactly the same way. Now, a lot of things will be same, like principles and stuff like that. We got like, the 5 out, that's something new we want to try. I'm excited about it. We might have to have some growing pains early, but I think it will actually
Yeah.
complement the players we have.
You
Mhm.
said you're long,
Andy,
lean, you're athletic.
can
Yeah.
I ask how many players are in your squad? How many coaches, physios? I mean, when you
We
start
have a
your
lot.
camp now, you would have a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah. In training camp, we'll carry 12 players for the season, which is you have to carry 11 or 12. And this year we have some lower salary players. We can carry 12, which is good. When Eurobasket happens, that's in June. We'll miss. We have 3 European players, 2 for Germany and 1 for France. They will leave us for 7 games. So that depth component. That's good for us. But we carry. Like in training camp, we'll have 14 to 15. I kind of limited it this year because I want to make sure, let's just make it really super competitive. We only have a few spots available. And so we can, because in 9 practices, we got to teach a lot. Not teach. We
Yeah.
do, okay, and I shouldn't say that. It's changed too. We do teaching as a pre-practice thing. We talk more about live play. So nothing's very much scripted anymore. We're always putting defense in there. The only way they can get better decision making is let's have defense. So we have practice guys. So it's been really useful for us. But in terms of the coaches there, Bruce, I obviously under me, I have 3 assistants that sit on the front of the bench. So it's 4 assistants. But then I also have, I call them all assistants, even though I have a director of player development, new guy that's come in. I have a video coordinator and a player development, another coach, but they're assistants. Have another young guy, he does more the analytics, but I'm letting them all do a scout this year. Because for me as a coach, is unless they don't do it in front of the team, how do you get better? So I give them avenues to work on their skill. And like just they kind of know and they've deserve a shot. So they all get to be assistant coaches. So there's 6 under me. And then I have 2 analytics, and then I have another assistant video coordinator. So the staffs get quite big now. So that's something kind of new for me, but it just allows, like, there's so much as a head coach, obviously I'm doing the on-court coaching and all that, but I just finished an event talking at one of our sponsors, and I'm, so many other things that I have to do outside of being the head coach. So I have a really great staff around me.
I know our listeners are going to be interested in this. So does the union, the players union, that's why you only have 9 days. Is there a certain amount of a limited number of hours? Or
No, we don't. Well, not really. I mean, I'm a coach. You can't remember back in the day, we'd go, oh, we're going 2 a days. We don't do that anymore. It's all, tracking their obviously their loads. It's all about load management now. And, probably like, oh, okay, they could probably go a little harder than this, but, we're cautious of that this season. But it's really because, and this has always been like this, to be quite honest, Bruce. And I do 3 days on, 1 day off. So talk about the load manage. Back in the day, we're going 7 days in a row, but now it's like you got to give them those days off, and I think that's important. It's a long season, so once I give them the days off, we play 2 preseason games. Then basically the last day, I don't really count it. It's just a prep day before our first game of the season. It's always been like that. So
And everyone's similar. All the other teams
yeah,
are similar.
yeah, everyone's similar. Now, maybe they give less days off than I give off. It's more like I have big picture. Like I don't nearly kill them here, and we're going to build up. They should already be in great shape. That's a key thing coming in, being a pro, or we hit the ground. But then, we have load management. How much, it's first day is 400 to 600. That's the load. I kind of know how much I can get out of them. That's a medium day, and there's low days and then there's high days. So, and not just going high, 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 because that's when, over the long season, that's when injuries can happen. Just being really mindful of that.
how
Okay.
about back-to-backs in the WNBA? How many back-to-back games do you guys have?
I believe we have about 4 this year. We've increased. Last year we played 40 games. This year we have 44 games. And it was really compact last year because we had a break for the Olympics. I
Right.
remember coming back from the Olympics. We had 10 games in 20 days with 2 West Coast trips. I mean, I was exhausted and I only had to coach. You know,
Yeah.
imagine these players and so they're physically fit, but you're just being mindful of that. But we have 44 games this year. It's first round best of three, second best of five, third the finals now is best of seven. So
Wow.
that's going to be interesting.
So
Wow.
the Liberty have their own plane, or do
We
you guys
we
fly
every
commercial?
No, no. Now that's a thing that changed last year, and it was a real game changer to be quite honest. Fine. We Delta are one of the sponsors. Teams, pay for it, but we have our own charter plane now, which is not our own plane, but
A booster.
it's a beautiful, it's very convenient. After the game, if it's, on the East Coast, we get on the plane, we're back in our home, our beds, or we're at our next location, especially on a back-to-back, third game of the year, we play Golden State and then we go to Washington. So we get on straight away and we're out. But it allows more recovery. So instead of going to the commercial, going to commercial and then you have to wait around in the airport. So we save time there and we can just get on the plane. We don't have to wait for a plane. So we just get on the
You
plane.
got all your food there, all the right food for all the players.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have nutritionists, you name it. We have everything now. Like we have, 2 athletic trainers, three PT physios, one strength coach. So, it just starts to keep getting bigger and better and the
And
innovation and
that's one of the challenges as a head coach nowadays is you're I mean you're the head of all of this. So it gets pretty daunting, doesn't it? Like people management, you're like a CEO of a company.
yeah, basically, the staff's really big, but also the general manager. So, I mean, we're the general manager. He kind of like the one that puts the team together. He does a great job. He does the hiring of the sports, the triple SM we call it, the physios and that. But yeah, we oversee it. That's part of my domain, and but that's why I say culture is so important for us. Once we do our culture session here and we put our values. The values is written by everyone. That's everyone. That's the values that we live and die by. Now I have my standards and expectation. I don't call them rules anymore. I call them they're just expectations that it was to be great. To be a champion, you have there's things you need to do well, and that could be like be on time. It's respect.
Well,
Simple values.
whether it's a pro athlete or a kid,
You're probably
just people out, young generation today are different to us. If our coach told us to go eat some concrete, we would have went over there and tried. If they do it today, they go, "Oh, that's not. We're not allowed to do that because of it could cause something." Like we just didn't even question anything. They question everything today. No, because you
yeah.
go to Dr. Google and
I mean, we wish we had all everything that they got given now, but better late than never. I think it shows like women's WNBA really the last few years. It's been a real movement, and it's great for us to New York obviously to win, and we got sellouts of 18,500 every game, and it
that's
was just
unbelievable.
an electric atmosphere, and it's not that's not why we play, but for me it's more we're getting the recognition that we deserve because this is the best players in the world and the best league in the world, and it's a global game. So it was really special to be a part of it. I've been in it since 1998, so just to see the evolution and how it's changed over
7
those
years.
years, yeah, it's pretty special.
Sandy. I
So,
mean,
I've been there.
Sandy, are you a lock for the next World Championships in the LA Olympics? Are you going to be
Yes,
at the helm again?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's the thing, that juggling. I mean, obviously your staff here or the people that are domestic. So who is on your coaching staff with the Opals?
Most of the ones I've had on when with it in my previous cycle. So Paul Goris will lead it and when I'm not there, and Shannon Seabon, does a great job over there. He's really good, and I've Cheryl Chambers, Christy Harrow, and Renee Gartlip. So I think I have a really good balance of coaches there, and no, they've been with me for a while, and that's why the camp was important. Especially if I wanted to change the style, they needed to see it too. So the consistency of what we do, how we want to grow it. But yeah, the World Cup. Look, obviously, we stopped WNBA for World Cup and the Olympics. That's why I can leave. And I think this initially when, this is my third cycle, and I'm grateful it's an honor to coach your country, and it's a lot of pressure as well. And everyone just expects you to win medals, but which is always our goal. But it's hard because we get very little preparation because of our players are global.
Yeah.
It's they're
So
playing at WNBA.
how do we keep a tab? I remember in one of the camps, we spoke about this with Michelle, that Tom, I was invited to come to one of their camps. And this was the very first year that Lauren Jackson played for the
Yeah,
Opals.
yeah,
So she would have been
yeah,
16.
yeah.
But he
Remember
had him
that?
come in like, you were given a weight, right? Percentage of body you got to maintain that we don't expect you to be ready for Olympics, but you can't be beyond this range. Are you a pro? And I remember there's two players. You remember the AIS, they had that foyer, the sliding doors, there was a scale. Keep
Yeah,
that cab running because these two players, they didn't hit it. And I
yeah.
thought, wow, why not? Let's, you got to count on the players being pros, right?
Yeah,
They,
and like that's the one thing now. It's like be a professional because, and if you're not, you can't, maybe you're not going to make the team.
Yeah.
It's like the culture piece. If you don't buy into the culture piece and live by our values, well, I may not pick you. And that's happened, and it's like, when you're putting a national team together, it's not always the 12 best players.
Yeah.
It's
The-
12 best players that work best together.
yeah.
You got to go. You can't win without talent, but who are the connectors? You know what I mean? Who accepts sitting on the bench and maybe can't get him in, but can still is great teammate. Those things matter. But having balance of you got enough shooting, you got enough, ball handling, playmaking, you got enough, you're big, you rebound. So, a lot of that goes into it, and it's a part of putting a team together, and I suppose if you're in it, you kind of know. If you're out of it, you might, oh, why isn't she in it? But there's a reason.
well, when you guys finally come to your camp to make that selection, they better be razor sharp.
Yeah, they are. Like I was really, really impressed. Like it's we have Brent Groris. He does a really good job. He's our SNC coach, and we give them loads, and there's accountability. The athletic monitoring service, they got to put their loads in every day. That's a part of being an Opal. That's a part, like even when you're not there. We talk about even though if you're in the WNBA, there's constant communication and connectiveness, because that's the only way that we can grow when we have limited time together on the court.
So how do you do
And
that? How do you do that, Sandy? Like, who manages that communication?
well, all of us. I give my players, my staff, they have players they have to stay connected to and give them feedback constantly now. And that's an area I feel like we can keep getting better at. So I'm like, well, it's hard for me. I stay connected to them and all that. And like I just called them, whoever, all the ones that were at camp and just selected a team. So I call them all. I mean, so it still takes time, but I
I
enjoy
hope it
doing it.
does.
Yeah, yeah. But now my staff, like I got more, I'm allocating more. Like you guys keep tabs on that. Just keep in contact with them. There's a responsibility. There's an expectation that as I said, I don't have rules. There's expectations when you're in the Opals, like communication to the Triple SM team, like there's physios and that. If anything, if you need anything, we're here. That's a part of it. Once you're part of the program, we want to make sure that you're fulfilling your potential, and we're here if you need it, even if you're with another team.
Well, yeah, that's interesting to hear. I'd never thought of it that way in terms of, again, this is the modern day approach, isn't it? And like, are you using things like teams and stuff? Do you have like a quarterly, monthly with the whole group or?
Not so much in WNBA. I encourage them if they see each other, grab a coffee. Make sure we're all reaching out. I have a leadership group. Tess Madgen was just an exceptional captain.
Yeah.
She led that program. She's staying in with the Opals too. Like she's with She Hoops, but we'll keep her around the Opals program. She'll facilitate this culture stuff with the leadership group. We had Semi, obviously, and Steph Talbot in it from our last cycle, and they'll continue. But how do we, now? Who's the next one? Ezzy, I want her. I want you to be more of a leader. Now we're just going to, upskill them in all that area. but they're so close. So they're always, in the WNBA, it's, when you see an Aussie, it's anywhere you go in the world, don't you? Hey, let's catch up.
Yeah.
And it's those connections. And like I stay regular contact with the team, and then you'd be watching them from afar, and it's fun. And you talk about the schedule. Like I love what I do. Like I love, and if I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it. People are, how do you do both? It gives me energy. Like during the Liberty season, I went to the Olympics. Just gives me energy. I come back, yeah, I was exhausted, but gave me energy. So, and when it stops giving me energy, I'll probably step away. But for now,
Well,
I
I just want
from
to
this
thank you
little
for
girl in
making the
Mackay,
time. You
9
know,
years of age, weren't you? 9 when you started?
Yeah, yeah, I was 9. Yeah, just by chance, really. My sister was playing with some of her friends, like, and I went to watch her, and there was a country team that started midgets, and said, "Hey, do you want to play?" Yeah, loved it, loved it. Remember, I was pretty good at track and field. I was an Australian champion in long jump at the age of 12. So I went to all
Seriously.
these field events, but I loved like it was fun, but you're
And
just
look,
competing against yourself and you're a person. But I loved the game of basketball. I fell in love with it because of the camaraderie and I'm playing with the competition, and like I never knew that I could be where I am now. I mean, this is a daughter of a sugarcane farmer, and here I am coaching in one of the biggest cities and in the world. So, I pinch myself at time, but I know, like, I think, like, well, I've uh, I've worked hard, so
you
I
earned it.
deserve it. Yeah.
well, I do, and Sandy, I was fortunate enough to sort of be around the era of us being juniors coming through Queensland basketball and stuff. But I remember, we'd be doing blokes doing individuals, and you would come do sessions with us one-on-ones, like not team training, like extra shooting and stuff. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Loved it. Loved that was special time for me, and I just loved the game. I was always putting work in and
Yeah, because
learning.
when we talked to Timsy, I said, but that's the difference because Timsy did the same thing. When I said Sandy used to come and work out with us, and she said, yeah, I did the same thing with the guys because it was more fun going up against or competing against the men. And
Yeah.
and I just think that attitude that you have, that you've taken as this daughter of a cane farmer, you go to Brizzy, big city, that's already a massive change. Now you're in New York. That journey is just insane. Like it's you are a rock star, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying. It's just like Bruce and I were discussing it before we got on with you, and we just went, "You are a goat. You are a goat." It's incredible, and yes, you do deserve it because I know how hard you work. I've seen it with my own eyes, and you've obviously just had that, and you've taken it to everything. But Bruce and I also talk about the love of the game. You've got to love the game. The players to play pro got to love the game, don't they? They
Yeah,
can
I
be,
think that helps. Yeah, I think like we always talk about, talent doesn't make you a great player.
there you
You
go.
know, hard work. You put hard work to it. That's greatness. And I love watching, my players here. Some you have to push them a little bit, but those superstars. If you watch Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu work, well, there's no wonder they're great. They have this greatness, this specialness about them because they put the work into it. And it's not just the physically, it's the mentally too, but it's your body, you're on the court, off the court, your flexibility. It's a full-time job, and the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. But you're going to continue to grow, and that's what I love. It's like, okay, I'm 57 this year. Like this, geez, I can still. There's areas I'm not perfect. There's things like, oh man, I'm going to make mistakes, but it's more like being quick learners, accepting it, and then what can you do? What's the solution? I'm a very solution based, like, okay, I didn't do that well. I just got to make sure, tweaking things where we need to, but then not get too high or too low. I think that's important. I think I've learnt that. Like my lows don't get too low, my highs don't get too high. Enjoy the journey, and and be the best I can be, and like people say, what's about coaching for me? I think, look, what you see is what you get. I'm very authentic, and I think you guys have known me since from a very young age. I'm not as shy as I used to be, but um,
Well,
I haven't really.
I appreciate that you brushed your hair for us here.
Well, I just come from an event. I haven't really brushed it, but I did. The
I knew-
makeup's on only because I've come from an event.
Okay. Well, as I said, Bruce and I have got great faces for radio. We haven't got onto the video podcast yet. We're just audio. But so to our fans out there, that Sandy's we're here doing it on video, but we'll get there one day. We'll get there one day. But Brucey, over to you.
Yeah, Sandy, I just want to say thank you. It's been an absolute treat, and for our listeners, I'm sure because we have a lot of coaches, players that aspire, having you on here is going to be great. And you mean honestly, we've had now yourself, Timsy, we've had some goats, and I just want to say thank you, and we wish you the very best for this upcoming WNBA season.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
So we're tying a bow in it.
Yeah. Well, I know you got a bit. You've got another thing in a few minutes, so we're very mindful of the time, and we appreciate. This has been. I seriously, Sandy, I haven't seen you personally for a long time, and I followed your career, and I'm just. I think you're fantastic for Australian basketball, and I watched you this week in front of all the girls doing a camp with Lauren while you were doing the Opals thing, and you could just see them all just tone in, and you must think to yourself, "There's 9-year-old Sandy in that crowd." It must be so inspiring for you.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's a part of it, isn't it? It's like, passing it forward. How can I help? And, we are role models, and these little kids, I keep telling you, got to dare to dream, because that was me.
Oh,
Like, look at me, I mean, if you really want it, why can't you get it?
there you go.
Regardless of what it is, and I just wanted to be the best I could be on the court, and now, in coaching, and when I feel I can't give it my best, and then I'll walk away and do something else. Maybe I'll do a podcast with you guys.
There you go.
You're right. Yeah, there you
Always got
go.
room for one more great.
All right.
Well,
Well,
I guess this
Bruce,
is. Are we
try that.
wrapping this up?
You want to wrap it
Stephen,
up?
are we wrapping this up?
Yes, we are, Bruce. I won't ask any more questions. Sandy, thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy. Good
You're
luck
welcome.
this year. We'll be following.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. All the best.
Okay.
Peace
Bye.
out.